welcome to another episode of MYD Global. I'm your host, Leanne Hackman-Carty. In today's communities, things are changing rapidly. We're going from analog systems to total digitization. In this episode, I speak with Chris Smedley. He's CXO for the Digital Habitat Core. We talk about how he's working to help communities better position themselves for disaster resilience in the future, in particular when it comes to technology. So stay tuned. Hey Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Hey, so just before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I come to the technology industry by way of an organization called Singularity University that helps people understand the implications of coming technologies. So we cover a broad area of different technological implementations. I do a lot of work for the X Prize organization dealing with global challenges. I also do a number of activities involved in disaster resilience and preparedness. Uh, and so, generally speaking, my day is involved in trying to help people in various communities to build better, more resilient communities and to add technology into that space. Okay.
So tell me about Digital Habitats Core. What exactly does it do? Why was it founded?
So it was founded as an integrator of these different technologies that we're discussing. And the intention is to be able to transform urban spaces and to apply new technologies as we can develop them on a global basis in order to build people better futures and craft better life for themselves. And the objective is to look at disrupting current practices in real estate and construction and be able to apply those in a way that ultimately will allow people to have lower costs, utilities, and better quality products, and to create an environment where they have an abundance of resources. And hopefully that leads to prosperity and happiness.
So I know today we want to talk just briefly about some of the challenges and opportunities when it comes to urban development and some of the work you're doing. When it comes, I think this area is really ripe for change because what you see what's happening in various communities, how we've probably put people in harm's way, putting them in floodplains and coastlines and forests. So what is your kind of, in your opinion, some of the key challenges that you're trying to address?
The principal challenge that we find is actually the inertia of the current system. That includes governance, it includes ideology, business practices, and a lot of these things tie down to maybe the human tendency to not act on things when they should. People don't tend to prepare for disasters; they dismiss those out of mind. And the common refrain is that people are too busy trying to find money for today, and they never have money for the future. So that's a bit of a problem in that it takes a lot of energy to get people out of that mindset and to be able to show them that there are ways that they can become resilient and green and implement the technology that are ultimately lower cost and better product. And so that involves having a consultancy service, oddly enough, that helps people understand their likelihood of rejecting new ideas. And we have a practice that does that with a number of corporations. It tries to cast off the old ways of doing things. So at the center of this is how to help people in spite of their pre-existing ideas or orientation.
I would think that there's a lot of emerging opportunities coming forward. So, maybe mention what do you think some of the 2, 3 top opportunities for regions, for communities when it comes to urban transformation?
Right. So we're heavily aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And so we take our guidance from them, and they have 17 goals, which eloquent in a lot of detail. The areas that they're focused on, they also have roughly $100 trillion in spending that will come out this decade. And the underlying objective is to really restore the planet and to address a lot of human social ills. So in that, you've got issues of climate change and affordable energy and inequity between genders and justice. And those are I think, no poverty. There's a number of initiatives there that are not only collectively good for the people, but it also represents the voice of 7 billion people through that document that said, this is the life that we want to build for ourselves. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel, as is often the case with people. They get an idea that, oh, we see some of the bits and pieces of the problem, and instead we work with the SDG folks because they've already addressed, some 200 elements. And we try and make our solutions fit into those. And then that also tries to fit in on a national level so that the green funding that can come from various governments is aligned with the deliverables that they have to do under the SDGs. And that also helps us accelerate our implementation.
So I'll definitely put a link to your website on the video, but just is there anything else before we wrap up specific that I haven't asked you about that you wanted to mention?
Well, the underlying idea of what we're trying to do here, and in particular with the island innovation community, is to find island communities and others that want to build a better life for the 2020s.
Thanks for taking the time today, Chris, to speak about what you're doing. I wish you all the best.
My pleasure. Nice to speak with you.